Before this video actually starts, I want to clarify that this is not one of my normal videos, as you might have noticed by the fact that it's fucking half an hour long. This is like just me talking about Final Fantasy because I got some Final Fantasy games, just talking about what I thought of them. It's just a kind of laid back discussion video, not a lot of editing. It's not really supposed to be funny. I mean, there might be some stuff that some people might find funny, especially if you actually played Final Fantasy before, but yeah, it's just a video where I'm just talking, and you're probably only really gonna like it if you either just like the sound of my voice and the way I talk, or if you've played Final Fantasy and you know what I'm talking about to a certain extent. So yeah, just letting you know that before the video starts, and here we go. A while back. Okay, well I gotta start from the beginning, really, for you to really grasp what's going on here. So the Final Fantasy games, Final Fantasy. It's a very well known series. I mean, I've been hearing about Final Fantasy for basically my entire life, ever since I started playing video games, which is a long ass time. I'm pretty sure I started like 4 or 5 years old. Ever since. I always heard about Final Fantasy, but I never got a Final Fantasy game. So I think I was like maybe 12 or so. I don't know, I was pretty young. It happened a long time ago. One day I decided, you know what, I'm done just hearing about Final Fantasy. I want to fucking play this shit for myself. And I can't remember if I got Final Fantasy on PS3. One of the Final Fantasy games, not sure which. I'll probably find out one day, I don't know. I'm not sure which. But I got a Final Fantasy game, and I think it was either on PS3 or on Mac. And I gave it a shot. Dude, it was fucking whack. I thought it sucked. Because this was the first turn-based game I had ever played. Which, if you don't know what that is, basically it's turn-based. The name kind of tells you. Instead of actually fighting like in real time, where you're like slashing your sword or shooting your gun or whatever, and the other person is fighting you at the same time, instead of that, it's like you take turns. So you have your abilities that you can do during your turn, and you can only do a certain amount of stuff. Like you might attack, or heal, or activate like a support ability that makes you or somebody else stronger. And then once your turn is over, it moves on to the next person. Now that person might be another person in your party, or not. If it's an enemy, then obviously the enemy, they might heal or do whatever, or attack you or whatever. Or if it's another person in your party, then you control that person and you have them do certain things. Or sometimes that person will be controlled by an AI. So your friendlies will be controlled by an AI, and they'll decide what they want to do. Anyways, that's what turn-based is. So anyways, it was my first turn-based game ever, and I had no clue that games were turn-based. So that was my first turn-based game ever, was when I got Final Fantasy. Like I said, I can't remember which one it was, but anyways. And I thought it was so whack. I thought it was the worst shit in the world. I was so bored. I was like, wow, dude, is this really what the fucking game is like? Because I'd never played that kind of shit before. And it was fucking, I just hated it. And I think that had maybe it may have been like in part because I was just a kid. Like I was really young. So I just wasn't feeling it, I was really impatient. I didn't like that kind of shit. And I thought it sucked, and I fucking deleted it. I deleted it. I was just done. I was like, I either deleted it if it was on Mac, or I traded it in if it was on PS3 at GameStop. I was like, dude, that shit sucked. That was a waste of my time. And fuck that. So that happened. And then from that point on, my opinion was, dude, Final Fantasy sucks. I don't like that shit. And then I kind of started to forget about it. And what happened was, I got into the Neptunia games, which I need to make some videos about those because I fucking love that shit. I'll make a video about how I got into the Neptunia, but that's not this. This is something else. So anyways, I got into Neptunia, and that is turn-based. At least the mainline Neptunia games are turn-based. So I love that shit, and it's really fun. And I got like a few Neptunia games, and I've been playing them for like a few months before I had the idea of, you know, I should try Final Fantasy again. Because what I realized was, hey, Final Fantasy is turn-based, and I like Neptunia, and that shit is turn-based. You know, I like that kind of combat. I appreciate it now. I love that shit. I see what's fun about it. It can be really intense. It can be super fucking intense. I'm gonna talk about some fights that I had in the Neptunia games where the shit was just crazy. Like, I would run into just like a boss or whatever, and I'd have to like level my characters up and grind them up and make them way stronger just to fight the boss and to win. And it's super intense because sometimes like the really high difficulty fights will take forever, and you won't know if you're gonna win or not. So it's just this kind of heightened amount of stress. But it's fun when you win because it's so relieving to be in like a fight that's like 5, 6, 7 minutes. It can maybe even longer than that. I'm not sure how long it actually takes, but it takes a while sometimes. Be in a fight like that, and it's so intense, and the whole time you aren't sure. Like you have an opinion during any fight. I'm definitely gonna win, or I think I'm gonna lose, or I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. And it's so fucking tense when you're in a super long fight, and you're in the middle and you don't know if you're gonna win or not. And it's like, fuck, dude, I'm like 3 minutes, 4 minutes into this fight, and I don't fucking know if I'm gonna win. And it can be so frustrating when you lose after that, but it can also be so fucking rewarding when you win after something like that. So that shit is crazy. But anyways, kind of went off on a tangent. So I appreciate turn-based combat, and I was like, okay, I like the Neptunia fucking fighting, so maybe I'll like Final Fantasy if I try that shit now. So I had that kind of thought in the back of my head, right? And so I was at GameStop, and I was not intending to get a Final Fantasy game, but I was intending to get like a Hatsune Miku game, rhythm game, which that shit is fun. I'll talk about that shit later. I'll talk about that shit in another video. But that's what I was intending to get. I just want to get the Final Fantasy game, right? But then I find out like there's like these Final Fantasy games there, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember Final Fantasy. And then what happened? So I was like, okay, let me get this. There was 4 games available that I had to choose from. There was Final Fantasy XIII, Final Fantasy XIII-2, which I was like, why the fuck is it called 13-2 instead of 14? I found out why later. I'll talk about that later. I was fucking confused. I was like, why the fuck is it 13-2? It should be 14. Like, what the fuck? And then I saw 13. I forget if it's 13-2 Lightning Returns or just 13 Lightning Returns. I think it's just 13 Lightning Returns. So there was 13, 13-2, 13 Lightning Returns, and then X1 and X2, the HD remaster of X1 and X2 for the PS3. And I looked on the back, and it said like, what, 200 plus hours of gameplay, and I was like, holy fuck. And they were all like about the same price. I can't remember how much it was. Let me see. I actually have the box right here for Final Fantasy XIII. It doesn't fucking say the price. Hold on. Okay, it doesn't say the price anywhere. It was like 10 or 15 or somewhere around there. It wasn't super expensive. You know, PS3 games is cheap fun nowadays. I mean, honestly, you can get a PS3, and the PS3 games, especially the pre-owned ones, can be so cheap. You can get Skyrim for like 10 bucks. If you've never played Skyrim before and you get that shit for 10 bucks, that's fucking amazing value for money. But anyways, that's another thing. I might talk about that some other time. But yeah, so what was I talking about? Okay, so Final Fantasy, right? So I saw all 4 of these games, and I was like, fuck, dude, which game do I get? And I think Final Fantasy 13 and 13-2 were $5. So I was like, dude, I'll just get both of those. Fuck it. They were like $4 or something, $4 or $5. I was like, I'll just get both of those. Now, if I don't like it, it's no big deal. I can just return them. Since they're pre-owned, you get all your money back. So I was like, all right. I was gonna get those, and then they said that I can get 4 pre-owned PS3 games for if I get 4 of them, it's $4 each. I think they said something like that. There was some kind of crazy ass deal going on. I was like, shit, dude. So they're like, dude, if you get all 4 of these games, it was still more expensive than it would have been in the first place, but it was for pretty cheap. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just gonna get all of them. And I think it was like I can't remember what the total was, but it was some kind of crazy discount, and they grabbed me by the balls with that shit, dude. I was like, holy fuck. I spent more than I was intending to. I got fucking swindled, but fuck it, dude. This shit was cheap. It's weird. Like, you see these sales going on, and it's like you're spending more than you intended to, but you fucking it's mind games. You kind of think to yourself, well, I'm kind of saving money in a way, but I'm fucking not saving money. Because yes, it's on discount, but if it wasn't on discount, I wouldn't have bought that shit, and I would have spent less. But it's on discount, so I'm gonna get that shit. So I'm kind of spending more, but I'm kind of saving, and it just fucks you up, dude. It just fucks me up, honestly. Holy shit, my computer. Okay, my computer blacked out. Anyways, that's whatever. That's fucking deals, discounts. That shit fucks with me. But anyways, so I got all of them. Basically, this is all just winding up to saying that I fucking got all of the Final Fantasy games. I got 4 Final Fantasy games. I fucking cleared their shit out. I got all the Final Fantasy games they had. So, so my first time playing Final Fantasy again, since when I thought it sucked. I got a Final Fantasy game and I was like, dude, this sucks. And then when I'm getting back into it, I'm gonna try it again. I got 4 fucking Final Fantasy games. So that's crazy. But I got home. Let me get some water. Anyways, so I got home with these Final Fantasy games. Let me get some more water. No, I'm good. So I get home with these games and I'm like, fuck, dude, I just bought 4 Final Fantasy games. Fuck it, let's just do it. I'm just gonna get right into it. And I was like, which one do I start with? Because 13, 13-2, and Lightning Returns are a trilogy, and you have to play them in order. So I was like, okay, I have to play those in order. And then there's X1, X2, which is, you know, it's completely separate. And that's what I found out when I was researching the shit, when I was trying to figure out which one to play first. I was like, which order do these games come in? And what I realized is that the X1, X2 like HD remaster was a remaster of games, Final Fantasy games from way back. And I thought to myself, okay. Right, so these games are from way back, so I should play those first because those come before 13 and so on. And what I found out was that the Final Fantasy games are not fucking continuous. They don't even take place in the same world. And I had no clue about that, dude. I was like so fucking shocked. The Final Fantasy games, each one, except for sometimes they're sequels, but overall, it's non-continuous. Not only are they non-continuous, but they aren't even set in the same world. So it doesn't fucking matter which one you play first, really, because they're separate. And when I found that out, it fucking blew my mind that they aren't even in the same like time. They aren't even in the same universe. They aren't even set in the same universe as each other. That fucking blew my mind. It's all different worlds and different stories and different characters and shit. And I didn't know that. I was like, holy fuck. So I researched it some more and I found out. So X1, X2 is some shit from way back. And then the Final Fantasy games, the 13, 13-2, and Lightning Returns are a trilogy. And then I fucking realized, oh my god, that's why it's 13 and 13-2 and 13 Lightning Returns instead of 13, 14, and 15. That's why. So it's because they're in a trilogy. They're all in the same world. So these 3 games are an exception. They're a trilogy that are set in the same world. And I fucking, my mind was just blown when I found out about that. So I find that out. I'm like, wow, that's cool. So that's really unusual. I can't think of another series that's like that. I mean, Neptunia, the Neptunia games, a lot of them take place in different dimensions or whatever, but it's still the same world with more or less with the same characters, like, you know, Neptune and Blanc and Vert and all of them. So that shit is cool. And then I was like, okay, I'll start with 13. And I started playing 13, and I looked it up online. I didn't want to find any spoilers, but I looked it up online just to see what people think of it. And apparently, a lot of Final Fantasy players think that Final Fantasy 13 sucks and it's a terrible example of Final Fantasy. And I was like, well, shit. But I have kind of a history of liking things that are not well liked by a lot of other people. Like, you know, let me think of some examples. Like Pro Street. A lot of people didn't like Need for Speed Pro Street, but I liked that shit. I love Need for Speed Pro Street, but a lot of Need for Speed fans thought that shit sucked. I love that shit. And Only now are people starting to come around, and I'm starting to find a lot of people that like Need for Speed Pro Street 2. But I started it. Well, I didn't start it, but you know, it used to be just me on my own, and I was the only person that I even knew that liked Pro Street. And it's like, fuck, dude. But that's one example. And then there's Need for Speed, like the reboots. I like Need for Speed 2015. I haven't played the other two, but I like 2015. A lot of people didn't like 2015, and they thought it sucked, but I thought it was awesome. What are some other examples? Let's see. I bet if I just look at the games that I have, I'll just see another example of what I'm talking about. I'll be right back. Okay, so I just got 4 games just off of my shelf that are perfect examples of what I'm talking about. Gran Turismo Sport, a lot of other Gran Turismo fans don't like it. They kind of took it in a different direction from the other Gran Turismo games. Yeah, so it's kind of mostly online, and a lot of Gran Turismo fans just play the offline part of Gran Turismo, and they love that. And there's some offline content with Gran Turismo Sport, but that's not where the focus is, so they kind of got pissed off about that. But I fucking love it. I love that shit. And then, but I mean, that's not as good of an example, because a lot of people like Gran Turismo Sport. It's a great game. It's a fucking amazing game. All Gran Turismo games are fucking good, dude. But, so that's one example. Then Infamous Second Son. I feel like, you know, a lot of people said it wasn't as good as the first and the second. I haven't finished it, but I like it a lot so far. It was one of the first games that I bought when I got a PS4, which is what I should have done in the first place, instead of buying an Xbox, but whatever. I don't want to go on that tangent. Then Agents of Mayhem is a huge fucking example. Dude, the whole Saints Row series is a huge fucking example of what I'm talking about. This is perfect. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So, dude. So Saints Row 1 and 2, fucking everybody loves those games, right? And then it's so popular among like other Saints Row fans for them to say, like they'll say Saints Row, there was Saints Row 1, 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then Agents of Mayhem, which is set in the same universe, but it's a totally different kind of game. People love Saints Row 1 and 2, but so many people talk shit about Saints Row 3. They don't say that it's terrible, but they tend to say that it's not as good, but I think it's a fucking amazing game. I loved Saints Row 3. I loved it just as much as I loved Saints Row 2, and I didn't play Saints Row 1, but I played Saints Row 2 and I loved it. I love Saints Row 3 too. I love it. Just as much as I liked Saints Row 2, maybe even more. Maybe even more, honestly. I prefer, if I could only play one forever, I'd rather play Saints Row 3. And then Saints Row 4 came out, and people fucking hated that shit. And they were so angry about it, and they wanted the series to return to its roots. But I was like, I love that shit, dude. Saints Row 4, I just bought that shit a while ago for PC. I played it, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is awesome. I thought it was sick. Like, it was different from the other games, but I wouldn't want Saints Row to be like Call of Duty, where they just do the same thing over and over again. I think it's cool that they took it in a different direction. And I understand why people don't like it, but me personally, I fucking loved it, and Saints Row 4 is fucking awesome to me. I like Saints Row 3 and 4, to be honest, more than 1 and 2. Which, dude, I would probably get shot for saying that by other Saints Row fans, but I'm dead serious. So I love 3 and I love 4, especially, hold on, let me get some water. Especially because the gameplay of 4 and the feel of it is completely different, because you're basically a fucking superhero. I don't like how they but that's spoilers. I won't tell you. Actually, I should censor that. I'm gonna censor what I just said. I'm not even gonna. Okay, yeah. I'm censoring all that. Spoilers. But I didn't like that. But you know, that's just a plot decision, and it's whatever. I still loved it. And then another example is Shaun White skateboarding, which is fucking. A lot of people don't seem to like this. It's not a very popular game. They compare it to the skate games, say it's not as good as the skate games or the Tony Hawk games, but I fucking love it personally. I think it's awesome. Like, I really love it, and I love how the trick mechanics are different. They're different from Tony Hawk, and they're different from the skate games. They're completely, like, their own thing, the way it works. I think it's awesome. But anyways, that was my history of liking shit that other people don't like. And I could probably think of more examples, but that's not really what the video is about. So, as I was saying, dude, I just went off on a huge tangent. As I was saying, I have a history of liking games that other people don't like. So I figured I'll probably like Final Fantasy XIII even though other people don't like it, because that's just how I am. And dude, I've been playing it. I played it up to the point where they get to the Falsey, I think it's called, or the Pulsey or whatever, the big thing. I've played it up to that point. And I played where Vanille and Hope, which I'll talk about them. They're fucking awesome. But Vanille and Hope, I played their part, the first part, on the Falsey or the Pulsey or whatever it's called. And I played, I think I'm on Snow. No, not Snow. Lightning and Saz. I finished Snow's first part on there, and then Lightning and Saz, them getting to the Falsey. That's the part that I'm on right now. But Final Fantasy XIII, so far, that's where I am at this point. So far is fucking awesome. It's fucking amazing. I love it so much. And it's like, okay, so first of all, Saz is fucking hilarious. He's just funny as fuck, especially the little bird that like pops in and out of his afro. I could totally see somebody who's, you know, those types of people that get offended by shit really easily and they call shit racist when it's really not that serious. I could see them like freaking out about it and saying that it's like racist that there's a bird in his afro or whatever, but I haven't seen that, so I'm not really going to talk too much shit until I see somebody actually saying that. But anyways, as I was saying, Saz is funny as fuck. The bird is funny as fuck. Lightning is cute. She's not cute. She doesn't act cute. She kind of acts kind of cold. She's kind of tough. So she's not cute, but she's pretty. Like, she's sexy. There's a difference between cute and sexy. But anyways, so Lightning is sexy, and she's mysterious. She's like fucking sexy and mysterious and just cool. I don't know, she's really fucking cool. And it's funny as fuck that, and if you're a Final Fantasy fan, you're gonna cringe so hard when you hear me say this, but this whole time, I knew about Lightning before I played the Final Fantasy games, and I thought Lightning was like the main character of the Final Fantasy series. I know, if you know anything about Final Fantasy, you're gonna think I'm an idiot for that. You're gonna be annoyed by that. I know it, but that's just what I thought. I thought for sure that she was the main character. If you asked me like who's Lightning, I would have been like, oh yeah, she's like the main character of Final Fantasy, right? Yeah, that's just how it is. You know, what can I tell you? I see her on the fucking. I saw her on the. I can explain myself. Dude. So, whenever I saw Final Fantasy, I saw a lot of like, you know, Final Fantasy 13-2, and Lightning Returns. And she's on the cover of those games, so I saw her on the cover of 3 Final Fantasy games, and I'm sorry, but that just made me come to the conclusion that she's the main character. I'm sorry. And and she's like, whenever I saw Final Fantasy footage, it was always of the 13 trilogy, and whenever I saw Final Fantasy footage of like from the different games, a lot of times I didn't even realize it was Final Fantasy. Like Tifa Lockhart, I only recently found out that she's from Final Fantasy. I had no clue about that. I thought she was from Pokemon or something. But yeah. So I've been fucking, you know, watching porn of her for a long time without knowing that she's from Final Fantasy. But anyways. Where was I? So yeah, Lightning is cool. And who else? Snow is cool. And just the shit is, the characters are cool. I really like the characters so far, and I'm already kind of invested in them. Even though I've only been playing for like 5 hours, I'm already pretty invested in them. That part where the mom, dude, oh no, dude, when the mom fucking, okay, spoilers, so I'm gonna put a spoiler alert, earlier before I start talking about this. The part where the mom falls down, like, dude, that shit fucking tore me up. I was feeling bad about that. I felt so bad, and she was like, protect my son, and then Snow was like, I don't know who your son is. That just fucked me up so fucking bad. And when Hope was like blaming Snow for that shit, blaming Snow for his mom dying, that shit fucked me up. He's like, I like Hope, I like Snow, I don't want to see them fight. But it's like, fuck, dude. It's so fucked up when you like 2 characters, but they don't like each other, and you're worried about them fighting or something. It's like, dude, I didn't want Snow to like beat the paste out of Hope, because we all know damn well there's no way he would win that fight. I didn't want to see Snow like beat the shit out of him or whatever. It's like fucked up. But I feel like Snow wouldn't do that. I feel like Snow would defend himself but not kill Hope. He would like find some non-lethal way of dealing with him. But that's just my impression so far. Anyways, so who else is there? Oh yeah, Vanilla and Hope. I was gonna talk about them. Holy shit. Vanilla. Let me start with Hope. So,
There are soldiers everywhere.
first of all, it's a crazy coincidence. He actually has the same name as one of my sisters. But yeah. So I felt bad for him, dude. He was like, I just felt bad for him. He was all freaked out about his mom leaving to fight, and she fucking died. Jeez. Spoiler alert. I gotta put in spoiler alerts for this shit. I mean, at this point, if you haven't played Final Fantasy XIII, you shouldn't even be watching this, because I'm gonna be spoiling shit from like up until they get to the Fall Sea. If you haven't played to the point where they get to the Fall Sea, then you should just not even watch the rest of this, because I'm gonna be spoiling mad shit. But anyways, God, that was so stressful. That tore me up so much. I felt so bad for Hope, and when I saw him like standing on the edge and looking down that like huge abyss, there was a part of me that felt like he was about to jump. Honestly, I feel like I almost would have, if I was as young as him, I almost feel like I would have jumped, because that would have been fucking, just imagine. But I mean, you'd be scared of dying. But like, for a second I thought he was gonna jump off the end, and I was like, fuck, dude, don't do it. Fuck, I don't know how dark this game is, dude. Fuck, just don't do it. And he didn't do it, and I was glad. And that's when Vanille showed up. Let me talk about Vanille, dude. Vanille is the fucking cutest character. She's so fucking cute. And she acts so, like, just everything about her, the way she talks, the things she does, how she supports Hope, and the way she fucking walks around and fights and reacts to stuff, and her facial expressions and her character design and the beads. You can hear the beads on her outfit when she walks. Just everything about her is so fucking cute and perfect. Jeez, my throat is getting fucked up from all this talking. She's so cute and just so wholesome. I think like wholesome is the best word to describe her. She's just fucking God, Jesus, so cute, so perfect. It's like, god damn it, dude. Can you imagine? Oh my god. Can you imagine like being friends with her in real life? It'd be fucking sick. Anyways, though, the dynamic between them is crazy, cause they're really different. Like, I feel like Hope is a little bit more withdrawn, but Vanilla is just really out there. And she just doesn't seem to really give a fuck about anything, because they're on the Fall Sea, and they could be turned into Lassie, but she just seemingly doesn't give a fuck, and Hope is just like, oh well, and fucking comes with her, and they're just, I don't know. I'm kind of worried about them, but I know I saw them in the cinematic, like the intro cinematic. I saw them like flying around with the other characters, so I know they're gonna be fine. I know none of them are gonna turn into Lassie. I don't know why, but yeah, yeah. But there's no way for them to know that right now. Shit, there's no way for Vanille to know that. Fuck. As far as she's concerned, I guess they just don't give a fuck. But I mean, they were already there, and I'm pretty sure the bike that they used, like the flying bike that they used to fly there, was broken when they landed it, so they can't get away, so fuck it, might as well. But you know what, Lightning, this is more spoilers, but I already talked about that. So Lightning is looking for, I can't remember if it was her sister or what. Lightning is looking for somebody, I'm pretty sure it was her sister. And I think it's also Snow's fiance, or maybe they're separate people. I'm not sure, I haven't played in a little bit, I haven't played in like a week or so. But I'm so worried, because her sister, I'm pretty sure I didn't see during like the cinematic, the intro cinematic, which means that she's gonna be a Lassie, and Lightning's gonna be all sad. It's gonna be fucked, but whatever, dude. That's sad, but I'm pretty sure that's what's gonna happen. That's sad, but maybe not. Maybe her sister just ends up somewhere else. Maybe her sister is fine, but she doesn't come with them or something. I don't know. But anyways, now I'm gonna talk about the combat. The turn-based combat is so fucking cool. So it's kind of a mix between turn-based and real time, because the enemies are moving around and fighting you. People don't have like clear set turns, so it's, I don't know, it kind of feels like turn-based, but it's kind of not. Just the way that you kind of click through the menus and choose your movements and stuff kind of reminds me of turn-based, but it's really not turn-based because there aren't really turns. It's interesting. It's kind of like a mixture of the two, but I'd say it's more real-time than it is turn-based. It's fascinating. It's really interesting. And Saz is controlled by an AI instead of you controlling him, which really stops it from feeling more turn-based. That makes it feel more real-time than turn-based. But it's really cool, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. But I'm really playing it for the plot, because the combat is only fun when you're fighting like a really dangerous enemy. That's when it really gets fun. But otherwise, it's just kind of, you know, I don't know, just clicking buttons or whatever. I'm really playing it for the plot. Dude, I need to get more water. I need to eat too. I'm hungry as fuck. And I've been talking about this shit for like half an hour, but this is like a rambling video. I didn't think I'd talk about it that much, but yeah, it's been half an hour. Let's see. Is there anything else to talk about? Oh yeah, I just want to talk about how there's this song. I can't remember what it's called. I have it on my phone. Let me find it. I'll find the title. But there's this song. It plays when Vanilla and Hope get to the Fall Sea. That intro scene, dude, when they get there, that whole section of the game, that was like amazing. I mean, that made me feel like kind of this warm, like fuzzy, tingling sensation, which is something that I almost never get. I almost feel like my hair was standing on end and I had goosebumps and all that shit, like that crazy shit. And that never happens to me, but it fucking happened during this. And it was so amazing, and the music contributed to that. It was because of the music, but also just the scenery and the setting and the context and Vanilla and Hope and just everything. It just really came together during that moment. It really fucking hit me, and it just felt so special. I just felt like I was in another world. It felt amazing. And that's what really inspired me to make this video, because it just felt special. It really felt different. I can't think of anything else that's made me feel the way that shit made me feel. It's really incredible. That's what inspired when that happened. As soon as that happened, I was like, dude, I have to make a video about this because it's just amazing. Yeah, it's called The Vestige. The song's called The Vestige. It's so amazing. It's just so good. And I don't know what it is about the singing and just everything about it. Just the notes they hit is amazing. Anyways, I think that's it. I'm gonna have some water and eat because I'm really hungry, and I almost feel lightheaded from how much I've been talking because I've just been going on and on. My throat is fucked, but I just had to get that off my chest because that game is fucking amazing. I love it. So yeah, one day I'm gonna be talking about how Final Fantasy XIII was my first Final Fantasy game, and I'm probably always gonna have a soft spot for it just because of that. Even if I play the other Final Fantasy games and I find out that I like them more, I'll always have a soft spot for Final Fantasy XIII. You'll never hear me talk shit about it because that was just fucking amazing. Or maybe you will hear me talk shit about it, but you won't hear me talking shit about that first part because that was fucking amazing. That's that, and that's the video, and that's just what I wanted to talk about, and I'm done. That's it. About 34 minutes of me non-stop talking about Final Fantasy, and yeah, that's that. This is a new kind of video. I've never really done a video where I just unscripted, like, rant about something. I feel like unless you really like the sound of my voice, or just the way that I talk, that you aren't really gonna like this video unless you've played Final Fantasy, or you're going to play Final Fantasy or whatever. Unless you're just into Final Fantasy, I don't think you'd really like this video, but whatever. Let me make a disclaimer for that. Yeah, let me get some water first, though. Jeez. I'll put a disclaimer for that at the beginning of the video, though. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.
told you, didn't I? Moms are tough.